What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Triple H podcast. Just myself and Jake on this rendition, and we're going to be talking about the in-season tournament because that's the buzz around the NBA at all these days. We actually, if you're listening live Wednesday night, we do have a full slate of non-in-season tournament games, but the in-season tournament has been electric. It's been captivating. It is had my attention even since the Celtics got eliminated. And we will be talking about those games as well. We'll be talking about the We'll be recapping the quarterfinals and previewing the semifinals in Las Vegas. Going to be going over some news as well. Jake, I know you've been loving the in-season tournament. A couple of great games last night, man. Where are you at with the tournament? Still loving it?
Oh yeah, it's been a blast. And I think the best thing, before we dive into all, because we're gonna get into every single game and then talk about the semis and everything else, like the atmosphere was awesome at every single arena, like all four of them. Like it felt immediately like a bigger game than just a regular season game. Like you could feel the stakes, you could see like the urgency in all these games from everybody. I think that's the biggest thing that I took away from the quarterfinals, and that's what we were hoping for, right? Like I think we kind of thought last week, like it's gonna be like March, like a mini March Madness, like single elimination. Like what's the intensity gonna be like, and everything else. And the crowds came through, the players came through. It was some great action all around. I mean, even Bucks Knicks, which ended up being like a little bit more of a blowout. Like we said, it was a really fun first half, really competitive game. Like you could tell the spirit was there, and the Bucks turned it on, like because they knew that they could. Like they went balls to the wall there at the end to try to like get that win, and knew how important it was. So it was a fun time. It's been a fun the whole experience has been fun. The quarterfinals has been great, and tomorrow we got the semis in Vegas. I'm excited to see like the neutral site atmosphere, how that is. But did you see that court, Donnie? Did you see the video of that court?
I haven't yet. No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, well, I'm gonna you touch on some of our news and notes, and I'm gonna just bring it up for you for a surprise here, and then
love
you
that.
can see it. Yeah, we get your
The
live
happy hour
reaction
hoop surprise mid-show.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, but Jake brought it up. News and notes for the week. Kristaps Porzingis, if you're a Celtics fan like myself, should be returning to the Celtics lineup Friday in their game against the New York Knicks because both of those teams lost in the quarterfinals. So Porzingis, the anchor of the Celtics team this year, they've been playing much better when he's on the court. They should have him back Friday, and then Chris Paul and Andrew Wiggins are both expected to return tonight or listed as probable. We talked about last episode how the lows have been low for the Golden State Warriors. They need any living bodies they can coming back and trying to revive this roster. And they should be getting back Paul and Wiggins tonight. Also, I think since we last recorded is when Zach LaVine had a foot injury come up or an ankle injury that Shams reported and said he is going to be out about a week. I don't know. It's pure speculation, but at the time when Shams first announced that, I thought the Levine news was due to him getting traded soon, and they were trying to keep him out of games. Oh, this is the court here.
That's the court. We called it last week. We said it's going to be a nice NBA themed, and
yeah, it certainly is. It's something. I mean, it should be better than the Pacers court that we had to see on Monday night. That is, I think,
one of the worst courts I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the worst, but it was up there for sure. If you're not watching, I suggest you go to the YouTube and check it out. But if you're listening, the court is, and you haven't seen it yet, I feel like I'm behind on this, but it's a base of blue, and then all the courts have the stripe going from paint to paint in the middle, and that is red with a big NBA logo and a trophy.
If you saw the Philly court, it's just the opposite of that, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I hated that Philly court. I can't say that I like this very much at all. But
yeah, I think this looks better than the Philly court, but I'm with you. I still don't like it.
But anyways, Porzingis back Friday. Get
Back.
back to the news. No more shocking your eyes and your system there.
Yeah, it was I had to, like we had to adjust the lighting in the room, Monday night when we were watching that Pacers game. We don't need any more of that. Hopefully, if they make any adjustments to the court next year or to the tournament next year, hopefully it's the courts. But wrapping up with the news, mentioned the Warriors, and then I just added in Zach LaVine. We might see him back in a couple days here because we had Shams report that he was going to be out for a week. He was going to be sidelined. I thought this might have to do with him getting traded and maybe a deal was closer than we thought. But then Shams also reported, or I don't know if it was Shams, but I saw some report that Levine actually isn't making other teams that all that interested as maybe was originally reported. I don't know how much of a market there is for him. So yeah, I guess wait and see on Levine, and some teams should be getting some of their star players back. So that's good news. We can jump right into the quarterfinals recap though, and I'll start with the negative for me. Celtics lost a tough one, and it was funny because when we were previewing this game, we were like, "Oh my god, the pace of play is going to be insane. The points they put up is going to be crazy." It was pretty modest, other than Tyrese Halliburton just having the game of his life. First triple double of his career, just hitting big shot after big shot. The It didn't end up being the dagger, but the dagger from a logical standpoint was Tyrese hitting a 4-point play pretty late in the fourth quarter. And this was, as Jake's pulling up the box score here, Pacers won by 10. It was a real back and forth game until the fourth quarter. And then the Pacers, mostly Halliburton, just came alive. I mean, my biggest thing was just the 18 team turnovers for the Celtics. That's always going to kill them if they get even close to that number. They're just not a team that can win when they turn the ball over that much, and only shot 29% from the 3-point line. I think those are easily the two biggest reasons. Jake, you mentioned it when we were previewing this game is, the Celtics shoot so many threes. They're usually really good with that, but if they don't hit and they don't hit for a full game and you have Tyrese Halliburton on the other side, doesn't seem to matter. But yeah, it was the Tyrese Halliburton show. This game was a lot of fun. Admittedly, it sucked to see the Celtics lose, but holy shit, Tyrese Halliburton is fucking damn good.
Man, it's crazy to see it like in a big moment like this. Like you could tell, like we talked about, the atmosphere in Indiana was crazy. That crowd was raucous the whole night, even though the court was terrible. And it just felt like a big game atmosphere. And Tyrese, he showed out, man. Like he really showed up and went, shot for shot with the stars and was able to make the big plays. And that clutch 4-point shot at the end of the game, like that's a special play to make. Like there's only certain guys who can in that moment make that play and make that shot and be able to live up to that moment. And he really did that in this game. One thing we overlooked was the Aaron Nesmith revenge game, because Nesmith was awesome in this game too. And I was not even thinking about him as a factor in that. I don't know what his stats ended up, but you could just see the impact, and like he did the too small after the one play and everything else.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of juice on that team. I think one thing we also didn't talk about, he had 14 points off the bench. I mean, just look at this Pacers box score. That's basically what the Pacers have been all year. Like this whole team, there's a lot of guys that can contribute, a lot of great shooters. And they're playing hard under Rick Carlisle. And then the Celtics story has been like the starting lineup. I feel like with a healthy Porzingis, this is a different game, and maybe then the Celtics kind of do pull this out, because I think he just makes such a huge difference to what they do. And like having Al Horford that's what the problem is with Al Horford in these minutes. That's why they went and got a Porzingis, because you just can't expect him to be the same Al Horford all the time. And especially, I feel like Al would be, a better person in like, and not this matchup with the Pacers. Like this is not a matchup that he was built
exactly
for, this whole game with this Pacers team. One thing we also overlooked with this Pacers team is 10 guys on this team make under $3 million a year. And
Yeah.
so making 500K for this Pacers team and winning this tournament is fucking huge. Like that's
Yep.
literally like it's a sixth of their salary for the year. Like that's a huge amount. And you have a Celtics team, which I'm not saying the Celtics like didn't want it as much or anything, but they've got, you know, we know how big their payroll is. We know how much is going to their big stars. And I feel like that's like talk about that. And the Pelicans are pretty similar in that way too. And they had a great game the other day and they're gonna face the Lakers on tomorrow night. Like that was the impact we had all been talking about that we didn't know what it was going to be. Like, how are they going to play when the prize is really like the money? And like, I think everybody's still been playing hard, but you see it like manifesting with this Pacers team and with this Pelicans team. Like a lot of young guys, a lot of guys that are like unheralded, and they're going out and trying to get that money too. Like they want the recognition, they want the cup, but it's a good prize for them at the end of the day too.
Yeah, for sure, man. And the two stats that got me from this game that were just like had me in shock was that was Tyrese Halliburton's first career triple double, and that was only his. It was either second or third time playing in a nationally televised game. It's like, what are we doing here?
It was
That
Halliburton's first. I think it was their first time on TNT. They said at one point, or like their like
yeah, and
Halliburton's
I
first
think it
time
was
on
only
there.
their
It's
second.
crazy.
I think it was only their second ever on national TV. So maybe the other one was an ESPN game
Yeah,
or something. But
crazy.
it's just so nuts, and like I'm glad, I'm glad they made it in this tournament. I'm almost a little glad they're advancing. Obviously, I wanted the Celtics to win, but I did say last week if I can't have it where the Celtics win, I would like the Pacers to win. So that part's still alive for me. But they're just such a fun group. You mentioned Neesmith and that this game maybe meaning more to the Pacers. I know it definitely meant more to him. He drafted by the Celtics, had a bit of a tough time trying to get minutes when he was on the Celtics. All of a sudden, he falls into this great opportunity on the Pacers. He gets to play alongside Halliburton. He had the Jason Tatum assignment for a lot of this night too. Like he was guarding Tatum and holding his own for the most part. And the craziest part about it is like, other than the 18 turnovers, I think obviously that's something that should never happen with uh, this experienced of a Celtics team. I didn't think the Celtics played that bad. It was just like Tyrese Halliburton was going to make big shots when he made big shots, and it just kind of came down to that. And
Yeah.
like you said, I think they wanted a little more. They had home court advantage, and I think them wanting it a little more also showed. And so we have the Pacers moving on. They
And
will be playing.
you mentioned the Celtics turnovers too, which is like that's their Achilles heel as a team. Like whatever that's
Yes.
gonna do the Celtics in the whole season when it, like, and that's one of their biggest issues is that they turn the ball over way too much, and
Mm-hmm.
that came to fruition. And that's what happened in a fast paced game like that, and a team that can, you know, that just loves to push the pace like the Pacers, no pun intended. It's
Yeah.
it's hard to give up those possessions because they're going to take advantage of them. But when it comes to the Pacers too, like you really have to score 120 to beat them. Like that's the type
Yeah.
of game they play every single night. So when you waste those possessions, it's really hard to make that up. And it was a 3-point shooting contest too. Don't get me wrong. The Pacers shot a little
And
better too, and
yeah,
just
they won.
yeah,
Matherin, Buddy Hield, those guys started to come alive at the end. JBC's in here again saying the in-season tournament rocks. I tend to agree.
yeah, it was
It's
a little
been
joke.
great so far. And yeah, so Pacers move on. They'll be playing the Bucks in the semifinals tomorrow night. And we had another game Monday night was the Pelicans and the Kings, who basically we talked about this. It was mostly Steve, but like the Pelicans had all their guys for pretty much the first time this season. They got Trey Murphy the third back. CJ McCollum was healthy. Valanciunas chipped in, like, and then Brandon Ingram kind of carried the way with 30 points for the Pelicans. Trey Murphy had a massive game off the bench in his first action back, and they kind of just blitzed the Kings. Like the game seemed at times a little closer than the final score. I think the same thing for the Pelicans or the Pacers and the Celtics, but
Mhm.
The Pelicans outscored the Kings in every quarter except for the first quarter, so the Kings kind of came out hot, but yeah, it's just a lot of the like, and this is a game where Zion didn't really even show up, and the Pelicans were still able
Mhm.
to get it done. So I don't know about you, but maybe this Pelicans team is just really fucking good when they're healthy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when CJ McCollum's around, and Trey Murphy awesome too, but when CJ McCollum is
Yeah.
on the floor with them and he just came back last week, they are just a different team. And I think Zion said it in the offseason, like CJ, me and BI on the floor, like when we first got together, it was scary. Like we knew it was gonna be scary. And those are just the basketball IQ of CJ McCollum. Like he is a guy that he's a insane success story in the NBA if you
Yeah.
really like break it down. Like coming from Lehigh, small school, undersized guard, like
I was gonna say
coming out
small
of
school,
Ohio,
tiny player when he was
tiny,
first there.
yeah, and just like the reason that he has been so successful is because he's so damn smart and knew exactly how when he was in Portland, knew exactly what he needed to work on to fit perfectly on that team with Dame. Like, and they didn't have the team success they wanted to have. It's just hard to win with two ball dominant. I wouldn't say CJ's ball dominant, but two small guards. It's just really hard to win in the league with those guys. But what they were able to do, no one it was unprecedented. Like no one expected them to be as consistent and as good as they were for a while. And so CJ coming onto this team and BI too, like Ingram's scary, man. Like if he can just have the like it's so hard because he will have games where he disappears from night to night and you're like, damn, like where is this Ingram? But when he is hitting like and just playing in the flow of the game, like he looked for most of this game, he's one of the best players in the league. Like he really is. And it's nice to see that like him come to fruition and kind of been coming to his own the last couple years. And this is a scenario in a game where he can really take over and be the most impactful player on the floor. And then you talk about Zion, who didn't have a great game the other night, but the threat of Zion really helps. Like just him being on the floor just helps them so much because he just has he's gonna dominate in the paint or try to dominate in the paint. And that's such a certain gravity and has an effect on every defense that they go against. And it just makes them more dynamic, even if he's not particularly effective. And then you see like Herb had 23. Like Herb is going to be
Yeah.
doing his thing and he's going to be able to have those performances on those nights too. But Zion's playing in the paint. He still was effective. You see on this, he had only had 10 points, but 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Like they're moving the ball around. A lot of guys with 5 and 6 assists. Like they move the ball a lot. They're great team basketball from the Pelicans. And this game could have been a lot worse. Like you said, the Kings jumped out early. It was like, I think it was almost 20-point lead early on. I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to be able to go to bed early, like
Yeah.
get some sleep. This game will be a 30-point game. And the Pelicans like, nah, like we're fighting back. We're coming into this. And then really just took over the rest of the game, handled that second quarter, went on a nice run there, and then just were in control. And they weathered every storm from the Kings, weathered the storm from the crowd at the end. Like we're talking about atmospheres. It was nuts in that arena. It was Golden One Center was rocking, and the Pelicans showed a lot of moxie and a lot of grit to get through it by the end there. It's going to be a hell of a game tomorrow night with the Lakers too, because they proved a lot to me. I think we none of us picked the Pelicans to make the finals.
No.
We were all like, nah, the
I
Pelicans,
jokingly
like
did.
whatever.
I mocked them, and I
Yeah.
guess I shouldn't have.
So it was a really impressive win. Nothing to take away from the Kings. They got blitzed and they couldn't really weather the storm in this game, but it is what it is. Like the Pelicans
And
came
I
out, and when the
think
Pelicans are at their peak, they're one of the best teams in the league. They just haven't hit that consistency like game to game yet.
yeah, and I think with the Pelicans or the Kings rather, I think they're gonna find themselves in this situation a lot where Fox and Sabonis and even Malik Monk show up for them, and then they don't get much contribution from anyone else.
Yeah.
And the Pelicans, I think, kind of just played a better game than the Kings. I think that's what it ultimately came down to. It's similar than like the Pacers. I think it seemed like they wanted it more, and then they just had, all their guys click, where the Kings had all their guys click, but it's the usual. Like, we expect that from the Kings, and I think if they want to win a playoff series, they're going to need more from guys like Keegan Murray, Harrison Barnes, who, I don't know, man. He's had an unbelievable drop off over the last couple of years as far as his effectiveness on the court. And he's been in trade talks. I wouldn't be surprised if he's moved at the deadline, but in big games when the Kings lose, it always seems apparent to me that they need a little more from their reserves, role players, whatever you want to call it. And I know Malik Monk comes off the bench, but he ends up playing 30 plus minutes a lot of the time. So I just kind of consider him a main rotation guy or a starter, if you will. But yeah, I mean, that was a great game. Kings go home. We kind of thought that this tournament was made for the type of team like the Kings, but Pelicans said no, 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 and they're moving on. They're playing the Lakers tomorrow night, and yeah, we can go right into the Bucks and Knicks, because this game happened the other night, or this game happened last night as well. I was saying to you before we hopped on, the first half was pretty competitive. It was a lot of the Milwaukee Bucks getting their baskets. Dame Lillard had a really good game. Giannis had a really good game. It seemed like Randall and Brunson were kind of matching in the first half. Whenever the Bucks hit some big shots or tough shots, Randall was just driving and getting downhill and scoring back on them. But this got out of hand, man. I think Lillard and Giannis really stepped up, and Malik Beasley had a good game as well. And I think ultimately the Bucks were just too much for the Knicks, which we kind of predicted. We kind of thought, the Bucks haven't been great in the regular season to start, but this tournament isn't really the type of thing that's made for the New York Knicks, at least the personnel they have right now.
No, they really got outmatched. And I mean, this Bucks offense, which has really been clicking, like the first couple of games, you're like, man, like, what is the deal with Dame and Giannis? Like, I know we figured it was going to take time for them to get going, but what's going on? It's don't need to worry about that anymore. And they shot 60% from 3 and 60% from the field. Like, it's going to be damn near impossible to beat teams when they're doing that. But I don't know what teams have the answers to stop the Bucks when they were clicking like they were in the second half. And the defense it's not what it used to be. Like, we used to think of the Bucks as one of the best defensive teams in the league, or like the best defensive team. They're not that, and they're not going to be that.
Definitely coming along though.
Yeah, and that second half was scary. Like, and that's the thing, is like, it's the Knicks who, Randall had an awesome game, but does Randall have 40 because he's awesome, or because they don't have anybody else to get 40 and they needed somebody to do it? You know what I mean? That's what it feels like to me. And they really just clamped down on everything in that second half, and there were no answers from the Knicks. There was not really a good counter. And the Bucks just, like, they jumped out, got up that lead up really quickly in the second half, and just held on to it. And the Knicks really didn't have a chance to, like, fight back into that game. And I don't think they had the firepower to. I think that's what it was. And that's where, like, the conversation we talked about a little bit earlier, where Kenny the Jet was like, man, like, they're never going to have the best players on the floor in these types of big things. And it's like,
they're always going to have the second best player.
Yeah. It's not a diss at Brunson or Randall, but it kind of is, because they're just not those guys. Like, Randall would be best suited as a third banana. Brunson would be best suited as a second banana on these teams. That's just it. And, like, that's no hate. They're still really good. They're still going to be, all-star contention. Randall has been all-NBA 2 of the last 3 years, whether we agree with that or not. Like, that's where he has been and the stats he's put up. But when you put him up against the Bucks of the world, or the Celtics of the world, or, even the Heat, and, like, teams like that, the Cavs even, like, they don't have the best player on the floor. And that's really, like, what their biggest issue is. Like, they don't have guys that you just are like, okay, well, they've got Julius Randle tonight, so I can just, believe in that. They really have to have a lot of things go right for them to get these wins in big spots. And it wasn't meant to be with this Bucks team. But the Bucks just might be like a world beater again too, and they might just be beating up on everybody like this.
Yeah, and maybe that's a testament to how good the Bucks are and how good they can be, because what you just said about the Knicks is true. Is like they need a lot of things to go their way throughout the course of a game. And a stat that proves that stuff was going their way last night, but still didn't work out was, I was going to point the stat out anyway, but you kind of just laid it out perfect. Like the the New York Knicks shot 14 more free throws than the Bucks did last night, shot a way better percentage than the Bucks from the free throw line, and still, lost by 20 plus points. Like it's very rare to win the free throw battle by that big of a margin and still lose. And granted, it is like what you said. The Bucks shot 60% from three. The Knicks shot 30% from three and only hit 7 of them. So I think more than anything, it was a star power thing, and that's kind of what the TNT crew was talking about. But they also had some stuff that, or things that they could have capitalized on and just didn't. And that's the Knicks. I also jokingly said that the Knicks would go to the finals, and I was correct there. I didn't have any confidence in them making a deep push in this tournament, and I didn't really have much confidence in this game. And Bucks Pacers, we're going to preview that in a minute, but that's going to be, it's going to be interesting, because how different of teams these two franchises are, and where they're at right now. And
I think it's a really interesting, and maybe this is more just interesting for us who really follow this sport on a night-to-night basis and everything else. Like, the most interesting thing to me about this game is the litmus test for where the Pacers are actually at, right? Like,
yeah,
we saw the Pacers, it's one thing to beat the Celtics at home without their third best player. Like, that's, it's an impressive win, but that was a close game all the way through. They hit a couple more threes. You get that crazy Halliburton shot. Like, it pretty much, that was the decider. It's not that it's a 10-point game on paper. That wasn't a 10-point game. Like, that was a 3-point game pretty much the entire time, back and forth the whole time, whatever. This is different. You're going to a neutral site. It's 2:00 in the afternoon, Vegas time. Like, can you get up for this game and really, what are they going to do with Giannis? Like, I don't think the Pacers have any answer for Giannis Antetokounmpo on that roster right now. And so he's going to have his way with them. Can you weather that enough? And not even mentioning Dame, I think they'll be able to do a little bit more with him. Obviously, Bruce Brown will probably get that matchup a lot of the day and everything else. But still, man, like, this is the Pacers. Like, you want to be a contender. You want to really announce yourself to the world and announce yourself to the rest of the league, like, that we're here and we're serious. Not just about winning an NBA Cup, but like being a top 4 team in the East, because that's what they're flirting with right now. Like, this is a big chance to like show that out. And I don't think this is like, if they lose, it's like, oh man, like the Pacers are frauds or anything like that. Because we were just talking about how good we think the Bucks are, but it's a big opportunity for them, and I think they know that too. Obviously,
that's something else that's pretty cool about this tournament too. Is like, and maybe it just happened that way, but it seems to me that it's no mistake that the teams that made it to the knockout rounds made it there. You know what I mean? And so you have good teams throughout, and if you get bounced, like Celtics losing was disappointing. Yes, I could say, they didn't have Porzingis and we didn't have home court advantage. Of course, both those things are true, but it's also, you don't feel bad about getting bounced in this tournament, because it's like, it's single elimination and all these teams are really fucking good. Like you just said, like if the Pacers lose to the Bucks, it's like they should still feel good about what they accomplished in this tournament. They beat the Celtics and they went, toe to toe. If they lose, I'm gonna predict that it's close to the Milwaukee Bucks. So yeah, it's interesting from that sense too, because like getting sent home in this tournament, it's like, well, you still were better than 80% of the league and made it to this portion, and are part of the first in-season tournament ever. So yeah, the more the wrinkles break down in this tournament, and the further we get into it, the more I continue to like it, which is awesome.
Oh yeah.
And we have one last game from the knockout rounds. By far the closest game, by far the most controversial as well. KD versus LeBron Bowl. The Lakers versus the Suns. KD and LeBron both had 31 points in a 3-point victory for the Lakers. Anthony Davis, I had that little note about Bron and KD. Have to mention AD. He was great last night as well. 27 points, 15 rebounds. And the ball at the end of the game was a loose ball. Jake, did the Suns get robbed?
Oh, 100%. It was so bad. In the moment, I'm sitting there watching this and was shocked. Like genuinely, and
Yep.
I'm cheering for the Lakers, obviously, like hoping that they win. And I'm genuinely shocked in the moment that they give them that timeout. And then you see the slow-mo and you just see LeBron James in the referee's face in this exact moment. And you see how this happens. Like LeBron, it's like it was literally like it felt like a culmination of LeBron's career of bitching at the refs to come together in this moment. Like there's
Yeah.
one man in the NBA who could get that timeout call in that moment and get away with it without an argument, without anything else, whatever. And it's LeBron James. And that was it. Like that's what happened. The Suns definitely got screwed in that moment. Like Reeves, I wouldn't have even granted him the timeout like a second before that. Like once he's getting doubled and they have their hands on the ball, like he shouldn't have been granted a timeout at all. And so, and the point that you see LeBron actually call the timeout, the ball's already rolling like on the ground. Like it's very like in the moment, I guess fast pace, maybe you give it, maybe you don't realize that, but even then it does, like the sequence of events doesn't make sense because you would see the ball before you'd see LeBron like calling for a timeout. Unless he's like, and that's the thing is like we see all this on camera. So like you can't even say like, oh, LeBron was yelling right away. Like LeBron was not doing anything. And he made the motion before he even did anything, like before he even said a word. So there's nothing that they could get away with it. The Suns just got screwed. And that's that Lakers exceptionalism, like as much as anything else. We knew that, even KD after the game was like, I feel good about the Lakers' chances going forward. They got the shortest flight. They got this thing. Like everything is going in the Lakers' favor, and that was like the biggest microcosm of it. And it's disappointing that that's the first. We have to talk about it as the first thing, but it's disappointing that we have to talk about it as the first thing because this was it felt like an NBA Finals game the whole time. Like the way it was back and forth, and then look at that fourth quarter. 23-21, like that's what it felt like every possession mattered in that fourth quarter. So then to have it end like that, it was just like a bad ending to what was a great game. But it doesn't mean that the Lakers didn't both those teams honestly deserve to win that game. It was a battle back and forth, and LeBron and KD just going at it. But KD, man, the shot making that Kevin Durant can still do right now is insane. Like some of those three, like did you think he was missing that three at the end? Like it was an air ball and it was a tough shot and everything, but I really thought he's pulling up and like cashing this. Like it was, that's how he was cooking the whole night. And it was really impressive to see him do that again.
My favorite KD play from last night was when he faked, I don't know if it was a three or a deep two, but he faked a jumper on the right side and drove to the hoop, and D'Angelo Russell tried to take a charge on his dunk attempt. And in the air, KD just like somehow slipped out of the way, didn't make any contact with D'Angelo Russell, and still was able to dunk it. But you're right. It was just so vintage LeBron, vintage KD. It sucked that is what everyone talks about. It's just so crazy to me because, and everyone is obviously going to talk about it, like you said. The game was better than just a missed call, but Booker, I thought, was pretty professional about it at the end of the game. He's like, it sucks, like calls get missed, but when it's that obvious, it just hurts. And he was like, the whole world's seen it, which is true. Like the video, the angle of it is clear as day. And the weirdest part is like, if the whistle was blown there at all, it should have been for a jump ball. Cause like you said, it was tied up more than it was in the Lakers' hands. And then ultimately the ball was loose. So they, at the very least, they should have got a jump ball in their end. And then if you let it go with no whistle, the Suns would have had the ball right under the basket that they're trying to score on. So I think it double hurts for the Suns just because of the circumstances that would have happened if a whistle wasn't blown there at all. But yeah, you got to live with it. We kind of talked about the Lakers seem to have the most motivation. LeBron definitely wants to win this. I heard Pat Bev and Rowan talking about this on their podcast, but like this is just one more thing LeBron can add to his legacy. Like Jordan doesn't have an in-season tournament championship. So the naysayers can't go to that when arguing LeBron or Jordan, but no, it's cool, man. I think the Lakers have.
That's what he wants, bro. Like he's gonna like in his documentary, he's gonna be like, and the first ever NBA
Yeah.
Cup.
Yeah, man, and I think they right now, I like their chances. Just I think LeBron's overly motivated, and usually, when LeBron James is overly motivated about something, it tends to work out for him.
That's true.
So
He
we'll
had a bar
see. And
last night. Did you see his in the media scrum afterwards?
I don't think so. No.
He said they say Father Time is undefeated. I'm trying to give him one loss.
Oh yes, I didn't see video of it, but I saw that quote written out this morning. That's awesome.
It's a great quote. And he I think it was, I don't remember what the exact stat line was. I saw the little thing. It was like the first 30, 10, and 5 in one game or whatever the thing was since Magic Johnson in 1987, like prime Magic Johnson. Like he is doing things. His game obviously wasn't as efficient as KD's last night, which is why I wanted to give KD the credit for like how awesome he was. But the fact that LeBron is doing this at 38 years old and is leading this team, like AD played awesome too, but AD's not doing that shit without the way LeBron's playing. Like we know that about the Lakers at this point. It's crazy that he's still doing this. He can't get that tweet is from like 2015. That this fuckery can't go on for much longer. And it's 8 years, it's about to be 9 years later. Like I did not, in my wildest imaginations as a lifelong LeBron James fan, did not think that in the year 2024 we would still be talking about LeBron James like all NBA level NBA final contender. Like it's just not, never would have imagined it. Never would have imagined it. So it's crazy to see.
Yeah, I saw today that LeBron is 5th in the league in minutes played, and he's about to turn 39 this month.
My knee has been hurting from slow pitch softball from 2 months ago. For like it's still like I wake up and it still feels a little. So you got to stretch it out a little bit. It makes no sense what he's doing at all.
Oh my god, man! Yeah, it's the greatness, man. We're watching it, and if you're the person who just constantly has to hate on LeBron, you only have so much time left, and if you're the person who enjoys watching him play, you only have so much time left. So
yeah,
shout out LeBron, man, and shout out the Lakers. Let's start with the Western Conference preview since we're already talking about the Lakers.
Okay.
Lakers-Pelicans. This is more interesting to me than the Eastern Conference side of it because I just really have no fucking clue. Like I didn't have a clue that the Pelicans were going to look that good when Trey Murphy and the rest of their guys got healthy. And the Lakers, I mean, they are what they are. When LeBron and AD both show up, they seem unbeatable. And then you have the occasional D'Angelo Russell or Austin Reeves game, and we know what those guys can do. But do the Lakers have the defensive fight and firepower, and is AD going to show up for a full game to fend off Zion, Brandon Ingram, and the rest of this Pelican squad who can really do it all? And it has me thinking, I don't know. I think the Lakers, I would probably give them the slight edge. I think the Lakers have the edge over the Pelicans, but you saw Charles Barkley bring it up the other night. Like he thinks Brandon Ingram's going to have an absolute game against his former team in the Los Angeles Lakers. And then, obviously the rest of the guys, what's Slick saying here in the chat, the NBA Cup is the only trophy.
He's out here hating the documentary. The documentary will be special.
It will be.
Yeah.
No, it's just I'm very curious. What's your take on this Pelicans Lakers matchup we're gonna get? The Pelicans are just such a mystery to me, so it's leaving this matchup a mystery.
I think the Pelicans. on the floor, I really think that they're a tough matchup for the Lakers too, right?
Yeah.
Because AD is gonna have trouble with Zion. Both of them are gonna have like cancel each other out. Zion and AD and Valanciunas. Like that size will give the Lakers issues, and it has given them issues this year more than other years. But the Pelicans don't have an answer for LeBron at all. Like there's nothing that they can really like. Herb, I guess, will make him work, but I just don't think that he's gonna make like even if like we saw LeBron 12 of 25 the other night. It's not like he was super efficient, but if he has games like that where he's impacting everything, he's still going to be able to. This is that where the team is going to be most effective. I really like. I want to say that I think the Pelicans are going to win this game. I really do. We talked about the the money like at stake, and just that the Pelicans have a lot of guys that aren't making it. Like there are a lot of newer guys, like a lot of young guys on this team. You got talking about like Jose Alvarado, like level guys who just have come in like and are scrappy and don't have these big deals and everything else. I think they left like 8 guys under like 4 million or 5 million. I can't remember what it was, the tweet the other day. So like what does that motivation factor go into it? But also we talked about LeBron's motivation factor, and he seems like he's really locked in on getting this first NBA Cup and being making history that way. And I don't want to bring it up, but the calls are going to go the Lakers' way in this game.
Yeah.
Every call, like there's no way. Like it doesn't matter if it's the Lakers Pacers or Lakers Bucks. I think this game will be the worst of this whole tournament. And that if LeBron gets touched, he's going to the line. If AD gets touched, he's going to the line. Like they're gonna favor the Lakers, whatever that goes. Can the Pelicans weather that storm? Yes, definitely they can. But that's just the biggest thing I'm looking out for in this matchup is because the Lakers are, and it's basically going to be, we talked about what the atmosphere is going to be like. It's going to be a Lakers home game. It's going to be
Yeah.
mostly Lakers fans in
Probably.
Vegas for this. I imagine both games. Like it's the easiest flight. They have the best. They have the biggest. These are 3 extremely small markets in the Los Angeles Lakers left. In this. It's going to be like all Lakers fans at the rest of this tournament. So that's like a factor you have to go into it. It's basically like they're going into Staples and have to win this game, and you have to win a game 7 against LeBron James. Like that's a tall task. So I think the Pelicans, like on paper and the way that I look at the basketball situation, I like the Pelicans team more than I like the Lakers. And I think we've been pretty high on the Pelicans the last couple of years. I know I've been pretty high. I wanted to, before their injuries last year, really thought that they could be one of the best teams in the West, and they look when they're healthy like they are. But that's just a tough ask in a 1-game environment and essentially a road game against the Lakers. So I think I'm leaning Lakers here. I really do.
Yeah, I'm leaning the same way, and I just like a lot of the same reasons you do. I think the Pelicans front court should give the Lakers some issues, but I don't know on the Pelicans who's checking LeBron if he stays this motivated and is as locked in as he was the other night. Like Herb Jones, Zion, I'm sure, there might be certain possessions where those guys get the best of LeBron, but no one on the Pelicans is getting the best of LeBron for a full game. And I think the Pelicans will probably need to shoot the lights out in order to beat the Lakers, which is possible. I mean, they have the shooting, that they have that kind of run and gun style of play. But yeah, I'm going Lakers here. Can move over to the other side now, see who the Lakers potentially might be playing. The Bucks versus the Pacers. We already talked about both these teams. Said we're going to be talking about them some more. It's pretty similar to the Lakers Pelicans for me too. It's like Pacers, I have a little bit of a better understanding than the Pelicans. They're a young team, but I think I understand that how good they are. But if Derek White and Drew Holiday had the amount of problems that they had with Tyrese Halliburton, who on the Bucks is going to be able to check Tyrese Halliburton? Like Damian Lillard at this point in his career cannot check Tyrese Halliburton. And then on the flip side, I don't know if there's anyone on the Pacers that can match up with Giannis. So, this could be the matchup that we end up seeing is, has 250 point over under or something like that. But I don't know. Where are you at with Bucks Pacers? Early thoughts?
Yeah, this first to 140, like you said, like
Yeah.
first to 150, something like that. That's what it's going to be a track meet up and down. I think this is the Bucks. I really think the Lakers
Ooh,
Pelicans is going to
interesting.
be a closer game. I don't know what the Pacers are going to do with Giannis. Like I
Yeah,
just
that's
don't.
that's
That's
my thought.
it's really really tough to see how they slow him down at all, and it's like it's kind of the same. It's not the same issue that the Knicks had, but like I'm as great as Halliburton is and as fun as this team has been, I feel like it's just too much to ask. Now they did lose to the Pacers last month by 2 in Indiana, and that's the game that Giannis had 54. There was no Dame did not play in that game. I don't think he was like official DNP, but he didn't dress it when he was maybe it was a rest day. I don't remember why he was out exactly, but they did lose that game by 2 without Dame. So I don't know. Like I feel like with Dame, with whatever I don't know what the atmosphere. We were talking about this earlier too. Like I don't know what the atmosphere is going to be like at 2 o'clock Pacific time
Yeah.
in Vegas for this game. Like, is it going to be full? Like, is it going to be like half full? Is it going to be like a little sleepy? It's a weird start time. Like even East Coast time, it's 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock Central for the Bucks. Like it's a weird start time on a Thursday afternoon. So I wonder if that has any effect on these guys. And so all those factors, I just lean towards who I think is ultimately the better team. And I think the Bucks are the best team left in this tournament right now, and I'm just gonna roll with them. But I do think the Pacers are gonna put up a nice fight in this, and they really like the thing is that the Pacers, they really have to shoot like 48% from 3 in this game. Like they need, and the thing is that the Bucks might do that too. We just
I was
saw
gonna
that the other
say
night.
if
It
the
might not
Bucks do
matter.
what they did, that might not be enough.
And that's what it is. Like I feel like the Pacers match up really well with like the Celtics and the Cavs and the Heats of the world. But when you throw Giannis and Dame out there and what they've been able to do, and then like Brook Lopez, the way he's kind of come on, like we talked about last week, it's a really tough matchup for the Pacers. And I think that game a couple weeks ago, when you see Giannis gets 54 without Dame on the floor, and it's a 2-point game and everything else, and now they know what to expect. Like they're not going to be surprised by this Pacers team at all. You add in the motivation factor. Yeah, I think this is going to be the Bucks. I think it's going to be tough for the Pacers to get over that. But I don't want to doubt the Pacers because like this team has been exceeding everybody's expectations all year, obviously.
Yeah, I think I'm just rolling with the Pacers just because I want to see them win more. They beat the Celtics. I don't want to see the Bucks win. So it's kind of my heart answer, and just the shots I saw Halliburton hitting the other night. If he's anywhere close to that, I just can't see them losing. I'm going Pacers mostly because I think it would also be the coolest to see this group win and see Tyrese win the first NBA Cup this season with how young their group is. But I mean, it should be an absolutely fantastic 2 games in the semis and then the finals. I mean, it's going to be great. Finals are obviously the teams are TBD, but it's supposed to be Saturday night if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's correct.
Yes.
So, clear your schedule for Saturday and sit down and watch to find out who wins this NBA Cup. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be, I mean, no matter what the matchup is here, it's going to be a great game Saturday night. If it's Lakers Bucks Saturday night, that is a dream for the NBA, for NBA fans. Like everything that can go into the 2 days of hype for that game, and just the star power and just everything else. Like I'll be excited about anything, but a Bucks Lakers matchup would be like Adam Silver's ultimate dream scenario for the NBA Cup in Vegas. You got Giannis versus LeBron. Like we might never get to see them in a bigger matchup than this. We're never like unless they play in the finals. Obviously, this would be like the biggest head-to-head matchup, and to see what that environment will be like with Lakers and Bucks fans and just knowing like what those two teams have been the last couple of years. Not that it wouldn't be as exciting with the Pacers and Pelicans, but there will be significantly less juice, like from a casual fan standpoint, if those are the two teams. That's no hate. Like we're going to be locked in no matter what. And it might be a better basketball game, honestly, between those two teams. Those are two really exciting teams. But man, if it's Bucks Lakers, can't be mad at that at all.
Man, I don't think they'd have to worry about the ratings as much as we were talking about on Monday night if that's the case. It's also no NFL to compete with on Saturday, like on Monday night. So maybe the ratings will get a little bump there. Yeah, I'm excited. I think any combination of teams at this point, especially after being pleasantly surprised by the Pelicans, I won't be upset. That's a good point. I guess that will be my silver lining if the Bucks win and beat the Pacers. That Bucks Lakers would be sensational. So yeah, we're hoping for some more good games here. We have a full slate of NBA games tonight. If you are deprived from the tournament and just need a better basketball, I'm trying to think of some good game. Nuggets, Clippers, I know is the late game. That should be a good one. I think we have Wemby versus Anthony Edwards tonight too. Spurs, Timberwolves. That should be great if you're watching or listening live. But yeah, I think that'll do it. Jake, you got anything else NBA related or not? Anything you want to get off your chest?
Nah. Everything. Well, JBC is trying to trigger me right now with the Magic Cavs. Sounds terrible to me, honestly. I am gonna watch that in a couple minutes and see what my Cleveland Cavaliers do. I don't have any comments on the Cavs. I'm avoiding talking about them as long as we possibly can. They're a broken basketball team. I think that's my opinion on the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I have one last thing that I just saw on Twitter before we hop off here. Apparently, the NBA is preventing the Lakers from wearing their black uniforms due to visual contrast concerns with the new design of the semifinals court in Las Vegas. So,
what is black wrong with blue and red? I don't understand that.
Yeah, maybe the Lakers don't have the easiest path, man. They can't wear their uniforms.
No, they're just like, listen, like. We like those black jerseys, whatever, but it's the in-season tournament. You're wearing Lakers gold the whole time, and that's better. They should be in the gold. If we're wearing that, it's a better look.
The winner of the tournament just continues to be the courts, though. The courts really hold all the power in this tournament.
They really. Who would have thought everything we talk about would just be centered around the courts?
There's probably been more publications written about the courts than the actual play. There's probably been more just verbal dialogue about the courts than the actual play.
That court is horrible, bro.
And now they're changing uniforms. That's how powerful the courts are.
That blue and red is just
it's pretty bad.
It's tough. The only thing that's worse is the Lakers court. The Lakers. I'm so glad I don't ever have to see that Lakers in-season tournament court again.
Yeah,
that yellow is just tough.
The Pelicans was really bad. The Pacers was really bad.
Yeah. The red and blue, like the Bucks did it right. The Bucks had the normal ass court and then just like the blue or green like strip down the middle. That was lovely.
Yeah.
I was like, this is great. This looks normal. Looks like a basketball game going on. The Celtics I like the Celtics, like the darker colors worked.
That's
better.
what I mean. We just some more neutral colors. You don't need to reinvent the wheel here. With
the Jazz
was
good. The Jazz was solid. The Sixers was terrible. Yeah, that Sixers.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
It really looks like some AAU courts. Like, you know how you see like those shiny, like, but the AAU courts, I feel like they're black and like gray with like red and stuff like that.
Or it's like looks like someone that fell into dumb money and bought a basketball court for their house and they're like, I'm gonna paint it red though.
Red court.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I thought you were gonna say like it's also like if you play my team on 2K or anything like that. There are some courts that you get in there.
And the park courts are like,
happening. Yeah.
And then you're playing against someone who's 7'5" with pink hair and a backpack.
We do know it's the NBA in-season tournament, though. They're getting that point across.
They made that abundantly clear with the courts. So
But
yeah, if you were expecting the black uniforms for the Lakers to round out the tournament, you won't be seeing them apparently. There's one comment from a Lakers player, and it's anonymous, but it just says one Lakers player response, "That's ass." So they're not too thrilled that they can't wear their black uniforms, but they'll be playing nevertheless tomorrow against the Pelicans, Pacers, Bucks also tomorrow. Don't forget to follow Trainwreck Sports on all socials. Follow at Happy Hour Hoops 1 on all socials. JBC is signing us off with the Bulls not winning the cup, but the finals not off limits.
I don't know what finals he's talking about. But
hopefully not the NBA finals. You can't mean that. But yeah, that's going to do it for us, guys. For Jake, myself, enjoy the NBA, and we will see you guys next week. Later, guys.
All right. Later.